came up with the game plan last night. So we're on home
Right.
stretch. They've got this. They're rock stars. They'll make it happen. Yeah.
Yeah. And anyone on your team, directing on your team?
I think Kristen, my area manager, is still in the running. It's going to take a miracle, but we're kind of like, we'll embrace the miracles. So I'm praying that it'll happen for her. And I think Jenny, the other RVP that's on the call, I'm pretty sure that she's earned it, or she's on her way to earning it. So I kind of wish we were going to see you guys in Hawaii, but.
I know. Well, I wish that I could have taken someone in my team with me, and I mean, I know we never say it's never going to happen. It would take the elevations aren't even in the process, you know, for a week to go. But that's my goal next AIT is to take some team guys.
We want our peeps, right? Yep. I think that's such a good way to segue in. So it looks like, Jenny, we're recording, right, love?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So I don't know. I asked everyone to mute out, but Jenny, if you could go through and make sure. I see some people aren't muted. That would be awesome. Okay, so welcome to our Bliss and Rockstar Team Zoom. I'm super excited to introduce our amazing Arbonne soul sister, Tracy. Because if you guys haven't met her, you will, and she's just a pure heart. She's part of our Aussie group. We kind of got to know each other. She's got a crazy, awesome Arbonne story. And she lit the stage 2 years ago. Parade of Champions, Circle of Excellence, and new RVP all in the same year, right? Yeah, wow. Okay. And I don't know how many incentive trips she's earned. She earned the California Dreaming. She's a complete, amazing rock star. Single mama. Oh my gosh. So all you mamas out there, so much respect for her. So I asked her, you know, we're kind of connecting across the seas. So it's Tuesday, 10:30-ish, Australia time. And you live in what city? I forget.
I'm 3 hours north of Sydney.
Okay. She lives where I want to live. Along the Gold Coast, right?
No.
No.
The Gold Coast is near Brisbane.
Oh, okay.
That's where we have our AAC. So you'll see lots of photos of the Gold Coast in August. But we're the next state down on the eastern side.
Okay.
A little bit colder.
So, yeah. Did I miss any accolades? I mean, this girl earns every incentive. She's also a photographer. So if you aren't following Tracy on social media, especially Instagram, you guys, her feeds are so genuine and authentic. They're beautiful. She's just really, you know, when we met 2 years ago at Circle of Excellence, her and Jacqueline, when we were going for the California Dreaming, I can honestly say if it wasn't for Tracy and Jacqueline, I probably wouldn't have hit it, because they literally were Facebook messaging me and they're like, how close are you? And I was like, I don't know. And they totally cheered me on, because Jacqueline crossed the finish line, then Tracy, and then I was the last one. And it was like down to the wire. So I'm so grateful for you guys, because I think sometimes we do need those sidelines to push us. And it was the trip of a lifetime, and we got to spend time with a whole bunch of other beautiful Aussies. And so, Tracy, I just want you to kind of share your Arbonne journey, share, you know, whatever comes to heart. I know that our team will be inspired with whatever you share, but I'm just really grateful that you're taking time out of your busy schedule to pour into our team. So I'm going to mute myself out and let you take the road, okay?
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for that intro. I don't know if I'm quite the rock star that you say, but I'm working on it. I really am working on it. And as for the accolades, yes, that's me in a nutshell. I met the girls backstage, and I did actually achieve the next Circle of Excellence as well, but I didn't come over. You're so far away. And both the last two GTCs I haven't actually made it, because both years has been really in my cycle of really brand new people that aren't prepared to, you know, pack up and leave their families and come over to the States. So I stayed with them to nurture them, and it's a really shitty decision every year to actually have to make. And it's so hard to watch all you guys do your Arbonne thing at GTC, and all us Australians that were there without me. It's like, that's the last one. So I'll be definitely seeing you in April next year. As for the AITs, I've achieved every single AIT since I've started Arbonne. New York incentive trip was phenomenal. California was phenomenal, and I know you guys live near there. Well, a lot of you may live near there, well, closer than me anyway, but still, absolutely, you have to experience that December trip from Arbonne. It was a game changer in New York. I actually achieved New York by default. I didn't realise. I wasn't counting numbers. And Linda Lovelace, who is my upline in the States, which most of you will know Linda, and if you don't, you will at some stage. She actually called me and said, Tracy, you've just won New York, you've achieved it, you've smashed it, you're 30,000 QV over what you've required. I'm like, what's New York? When is it? What are you talking about? And I wish it happened like that these days. Ignorance when you first start Arbonne is something that we all wish we could just bottle, because we just get in, we ask, what do I do next? You just go and do it. There's no procrastination. There's no how or when or why. You just go and do it. If you've got that ignorance on fire sort of DNA, which luckily I was born with. So if you don't have that yet, just stop overthinking it and just go do exactly what Christy's telling you to do, or whichever leader. We all say the same things, right? They're in different coloured boxes, but it's always the same information. We're not inventing the wheel. So my story is that I've been with Arbonne for 3.5 years, and I had no knowledge whatsoever about social marketing, network marketing. I did have a lot of knowledge about skin absorption of chemicals, though, and to avoid it. So I understood the bare basics of avoiding that toxicity in our environment. So that was a tick for my upline off the bat. I too had a hole in my my life and my family's life financially, because I was financially secure. All my life I had businesses since I left school. I hadn't been on wages since I was 18, and I'd sold 3 businesses, so everything was fine. And then I had 2 years of domestic violence, including during the pregnancy of my daughter. She's now 5.5. But when my daughter was born, the jail sentence was downturned to a suspended sentence. And then I spent the next 2 years, the first 2 years of her life, in the family court system to get full custody for her, so that she wasn't exposed to that environment that I'd escaped from. So in doing that, paying the lawyers and the barristers, I lost my home, my 20 acres, my 14 horses, my horse float, my Chrysler 300C, which I know you've got over there. It was my beautiful car. Everything. My business of 200 contractors, so I had staff. Everything, clothes, furniture, shoes, pots and pans, plants. I sold the lot. And, well, what anyone would buy, right? They didn't buy quite everything. I got the leftover shoes with scuff marks, but everybody else enjoyed my beautiful things. So the Salvation Army, I'm pretty sure you do have Salvation Army over there, so you know who they are. They were feeding me and the kids, which I have too. I had a teenager already before Valentina was born, and paying my electricity bill and my phone bill. So I was a photographer then, and I still am, but that wasn't maintaining my debt, let alone clearing it. It was never going to. And still without fear, I was taking on more loans and more loans and more loans against my lawyer's advice. Tracy, you can't keep doing this. How are you going to pay it back? I don't know, but I will. So the day when my client said to me, what happened to your nice car? Because then I had the nice car, and then I had the car that was defected by the police. It had 4 mufflers. The ceiling sat on my hair when the thumbtacks fell out. It had a really noisy thing called an extractor, which you get if you're 19-year-old and you want to do burnouts and stuff. I didn't want to do any of those things. So it did drive. I was grateful I had anything at all. but things weren't very good. So she asked me about my car. I told her briefly, and I was still in the court system right then. So I still couldn't go to the mall. I couldn't be around groups of people. I hadn't been to the mall in a year. I was getting home delivery groceries. I had anxiety, panic attacks, all these things that I'd never experienced in my life before that. In fact, one of the things I'm really grateful for is the experience to learn and gain that sympathy and empathy for people who do have mental health problems, because I really just thought you had to shake it off, really. Get on with it, you know, leave him, change your situation. If you don't like it, change it. I was one of those people. So I'm grateful at least that I experienced that. However, being in that situation, I didn't have time, effort, energy, interest, care in much else but survival. So when this business was presented to me, I said to her, oh, what do you sell? She rang me the next day. What do you sell? She wouldn't tell me. So that on its own screamed scam of some sort, right? And so I didn't have time for a hobby. I didn't have time or money for a anti-aging skincare set, even though it was phenomenal on my face. When some people say they can't afford it, they just can't afford it. It's just as simple as that. So anyway, she bought the big gun over. So she bought a regional vice president to my house who drove her Mercedes-Benz and parked it right near my Holden Astra, just falling apart. And I asked three things. First of all, explain to me how the business model works. She explained it in a nutshell. It took 5 minutes. I didn't read. I didn't Google. I didn't do anything. I asked her how much she earns, the lady with the car. How much she earned a month? She told me. Can I get my car before Christmas? This was in January. She said, look, people have done it. You'll have to be really committed and the planets will have to align for you. But yes, you can have your car before Christmas. So they were the three things I needed to fulfill. She put the RN on my face. It was fabulous. I didn't have 1 cent for a kit. But I did have a why, but I did already have that wiring that if I set myself a goal, I just did it. I was lucky enough to have been born with that. And a lot of us are. And if you weren't, then we teach you how to get that like that, okay? That's why we go to training. So in 10 months, I was in my white Mercedes-Benz. And 10 months that bomb car lasted me for. God bless it. And, I mean, I can't say the rest is history, because the best part of it was, yes, I was in a car that wasn't going to break down. But the biggest achievement for me was my panic attacks subsided. I remembered who I was by talking to really good people, aligning with people that had the same core values. I switched from focusing from the dark black hole stuff and really rose up out of that through my work with Arbonne. So I became so obsessed that I couldn't think about or talk about or look at anything but the benefits of Arbonne. And I don't mean spewing on people, but my vibration through the books that I was told to read, the goals and going to sleep, like tomorrow morning I get up and I do this. So I got dressed every day and I went to the mall. So I just knew that I had to face the biggest fear, which was the mall. For me, it was the mall, right? And people and talking in public and holding my head up and my posture and all of those things. So I got up every day and I put my heels on, only one pair of heels I had left, quite literally, and my nicest clothes, put my makeup on, and I went to the mall. And going into the mall, there's a sushi shop and a nail artist, and then it opens up into a big area where there's the supermarket, etc., etc. So I'd go right to the edge and I'd get sushi, and I couldn't go across. I just couldn't go across for a while. But people would say to me, oh, Tracy, you look nice. Where are you going? Oh, I've got something for Arbonne today. I'm really excited for it. Have you heard of Arbonne? Yeah, I saw you do something like that on Facebook. I'm from a very small country town, by the way. So I've seen you do something like that on Facebook. Great. Here's a sample. I'm going to follow up with you on Wednesday. Would that be okay with you? So I was getting dressed up and I was going to do Arbonne, but that's what I was doing. That was my Arbonne. They were my Arbonne people. Then I would come home, get undressed, take my makeup off and work on the computer or do whatever I had to do for the rest of the day. So slowly but surely, I got across that big gap in the mall and got through my fears. The first time I tried to cross there, I had a panic attack in the toilets for an hour. I couldn't get out and I couldn't work my phone. So I think Arbonne and being a network marketer and being able to learn the skills to be a leader requires you breaking through those things, not just teaching you and you guys learning how to hand a sample out properly or present the business, but do the stuff that terrifies you. Like, we know live videos on your Facebook causes traction. It sends you into other people's feeds. It broadens your reach, okay? So if a live video terrifies you, then that's the first thing that you do in the morning when you get up. If it terrifies you to say to somebody, a complete stranger, hey, have you heard of Arbonne? Then do this. Tell a complete stranger that you really like their shoes, if they've got nice shoes on, that is. Oh, well, I love your haircut. Where do you have your hair done? I always tell my team, let's practice the skills of talking to strangers about whatever it is, anything. And, you know, that surprised me the most, because I've always been able to talk to strangers. How you going? I'm always that person in the line that starts a conversation with everybody else. So for me, it took a while to realise, you know, that's a small minority of the population that can naturally do that. So let's suggest to people that I'm coaching, let's become that person first. Because if you've never commented to a stranger or been the conversation starter with a stranger, then going up to somebody and saying, hey, have you heard of Arbonne? That's crazy for me to suggest to you that that's a good idea. It's just setting you up to go through all sorts of anxiety and things like that. So baby steps. For me to do Arbonne and for me to get over my experience and shake it off and have and to become influential, I couldn't be broken and closed and suffocating at the thought of walking into a mall. I had to be a network marketer. I had to be part of every network that was within my physical reach. And it doesn't even have to be in your physical reach anymore. It can be in your electronic reach, right? So I couldn't be all shiny and glossy and vibey and do all these lives when I was broken. So I become unbroken slowly. So if you're frightened of strangers, become unfrightened of strangers. I'm using bad grammar, but I'm from Australia, so I can get away with it, right? Jacqueline always gives me hell about my grammar. She loves my words that she thinks I invent. The whole population uses the words, but anyway, it's completely different to you guys, the slang, I know. So that would be my advice, is to just break it down. All right, Christy's telling me to read a book, and I'm really not a great reader, but I keep hearing, got to read books. I don't absorb information off pages. I'm one of those people. So you know what? Audible. You've got to go, okay, that's what I've been told. It's not Christy's fault if she doesn't know, and I'm just using you as an example, Chris. It's not Christy's fault if she doesn't know that you're not good at reading, but you've got to be able to become, as a business owner, somebody that can take the information and the advice and turn it into something that you can actually sponge from. Do you know what I mean? Last year, I think I read 3 books, which was a real achievement for me at 43. I don't know. It doesn't absorb properly. This month, I made a commitment to myself that I'm listening to 12 books in 12 months, one a month. If one overlaps, then I read a little short one to catch up. And I've done it. I haven't done it yet. We're only in month 5. But I've created that system for myself now. There's no way I can falter it. I've decided, I've put it into place, and it is part of my absolute everyday, not in my everyday life. I'm not up to 10 pages a day. That's a great tip for somebody who can learn from little snippets. I'm better off on a big drive or a big gardening or at the gym or somewhere where there's a big section where I can, absorb longer information. So I've worked it out to what suits me. So I've written down here before I started to rave on, and Chris, my clock isn't here, so I haven't been, okay, so around half an hour usually, yeah?
I mean, if you just want to talk for like another 7 to 10 minutes, that'd be perfect.
Okay, good. So my 3 top tips before I started going off on my tantra. The 3 top tips that I really love and I work well with as a team leader are urgency is my number 1. Acting with urgency, and not urgency to create pressure or, again, all those fear-based reactions, but urgency like when you start Arbonne, and I'm not sure how many of you aren't at district yet, or you're just new consultants, but those of you who are already at district and area, the skills of learning how to get to district with fluently is your best asset, right? Because that's how you're coaching. So I'm still comfortable to talk about consultant things. So when you're a consultant, and we know that a consultant, even if they're in the business for 6 months or however long, will eventually, the plan is, eventually we're going to conquer 6,000 QV from people that you know. Yeah. So if we act with urgency in that very first month, and your second month, if you started late in the month, and I started on the very last day of December, actually, I say January, but the very last day of December, I started, and still at the car in 10 months. So it doesn't matter where you start. But if we do that in that 6,000 first 2 months, jam everybody in there by acting with urgency, as in when you're going on a holiday, right? I love this explanation. When you're going on a holiday, and it's particularly if it's overseas or it's a long way away, you know, the week before, it's manic. You're acting with urgency. You're getting your house clean, your linens changed, your cupboards are clean, you're washing walls. You're not watching TV. You're not folding and ironing in the middle of the day. Usually it's late at night, right? That type of an urgent sort of a feeling, if you set yourself into that mode, even though you're not going anywhere, you set yourself into that mode and have a little corner somewhere or a spare room where you throw all your ironing or whatever, put it aside, and really get yourself with urgency to district, then of course you're getting paid a lot better. You get paid on your overrides, and you're off to that better start so that you can prove to your partners, the people that are watching you, you know what, I've put in a little bit of work and I've got to this goal. It's more duplicatable to act with urgency to your little team when you first start out, which will then act with urgency in that first month to their little team, so on and so forth. It's a really great DNA to wire into your business. And if you know what, if you're on month 34 right now and you've never seen district, there's nothing stopping you waking up tomorrow and acting with urgency. Because I don't know many people who have just walked it in. I really don't. Most of us will start to do that urgency when we decide, okay, let's do it. And the relief, the absolute relief, washes away all of that, that urgency required to actually get it done. Honestly, waking up at elevation, a lot of you would know already what that feels like. So I suggest to write that goal down and get it all happening for the next few weeks, or even this week. Do you know, there's still a weekend to go, and you guys have got 2 Fridays to go too, I think, because we finish here on a Thursday. So you've still got next Thursday night. You could go from 0 to 6,000 in that amount of time. So those of you who aren't at district yet, or you've got consultants that aren't at district yet, or you're at 5,000 and you're still going to area qual, honestly, you can finish it with that urgency switched on. What am I up to? 3 minutes. Okay. Balancing being a single mum and doing Arbonne, or balancing being a mum at all and doing Arbonne, or balancing being anything else and having this in your life. And you know what? There really isn't a 50-50 balance. You have to decide what you want. You can be there all day and all night for hubby, cook all the meals and do the kids' things and all of that for the rest of your life. Or you can decide, you know what, a few things we're going to just wire and miss out on, to get it done if you really want to go hard and fast in this business. Because I tell you, I'll give you an example. When I went region, and I don't suggest this is healthy for anybody, but when I went region, those last couple of weeks I didn't have dinner with my kids, and that was it. That didn't sit with me too well at the time, but I just kept knowing that my kids were going to benefit from it. And of course, we ended up at AIT in New Zealand, and at the end of that season, and my kids had never seen snow, and we were playing in the snow on the top of a huge big mountain and seeing the beautiful Queenstown for AIT. So it's a decision, and your balance, it has to be a decision that sits well with you. You may become judged for it. You may have a partner that's like, oh, you know, when's this going to end? I hope you're going to get to this goal. You know what? That's why you've got to get to the goal. Like, I'm just going to be busy for a little while. Just trust me. Just trust yourself. Just trust the journey, that the end result is going to be so much better and more life-changing than your existence right now, I promise you, because you'll be changing other people's lives. And when people start becoming grateful for how you're coaching them and how your assistance is changing their lives, that will be so fulfilling. Your kids are going to have a mum that's full of growth and personal development that's it's uncomparable. So feel safe and secure in your decision if you're going to go for it, because you've got the support. Believe you me, everybody will be congratulating you at the end. And the last thing, I know I'm right on, Chris, but I'm going to just say the last thing is and this was probably the hardest to me, is to be duplicatable. So have all your systems in place and really try and do that. Now, I think one of the life-changing statements that I ever heard from a really great sponsor in our industry, not in our company, but in our industry, was doing a training one day and said, you know, some of the biggest sponsors in the world, the biggest sponsors in the world are the biggest income earners. And by this stage, I had achieved Circle of Excellence, which is the top 50 sponsors in Arbonne in the world. And I'd only just started. I thought, oh my gosh, what do you mean? What do you mean that the top sponsors aren't the biggest income earners in the world? Like, oh no, that's what I'm good at. That's my thing. So I really thought about it then, like, okay, why? And it's because that's one of the hardest things to be duplicatable in, is teaching to sponsor, because of the things I said before. You know, I could just randomly go up to someone and say, oh my gosh, you're stunning. I have got a business that I would love to coach you in. Would you be interested in taking a look? I can do that. That isn't duplicatable. So the things that are duplicatable, that's when I started to think, okay, let's just teach people to talk to strangers. Is there a system in place once they do say, yes, I'd love to take a look? Make sure your teams have that ready to go. Do they have a little 1 or 2 minute video ready to send to their clients straight away on an inbox or a text message or something like that? Duplicatable systems, which I know your leaders already have, fantastic systems. Have all your ducks in a row. Or say, you know what, I've just started Arbonne. I have no idea. All I know is I'm excited, but I can have someone give you a call and tell you all about it, because that's what we're here for as well. That's duplicatable, right? But saying that, if you're 2 years in, isn't going to cut it. You can only use it for a little window. So if you're brand new listening on this call, you are at the most unique place in this business when you're new, because you can say things like, hey, I would love to come over to your place with 4 or 5 girls. I'd really value the practice. My coach is going to come over and coach me through it. So would you mind doing that for me? I know you're crazy busy. It's not about sales. It's really about me learning from my coach what to do. Or I've just joined this business. I love the skincare. It is amazing. I really value your opinion. I've got this sample. If I give it to you today, could I call you Wednesday and see what you think about it? I know I love it, but I just really would love as many of other people's what's it called? Opinions, just so I know that I've made the right decision. Things like that you can say when you're brand new. So I hope that was of some assistance for you guys to keep smashing out those elevations. I hope that was okay, Chris. And
It was amazing.
I've got this, which I've got my Arbonne tea
I
on.
have mine too. Yay, I have mine too.
We bought these together in the little shop that was closing down, didn't we? And it says, I'm a flip-flop kind of girl.
Yep. So you guys, I know you loved Tracy as much as I do. Her story is so inspirational. And I think what I love about you is I always learn from sidelines. They just, it reminds you to be in the space that we're all in. But when you hear somebody else's journey and it parallels, what we're doing in this company, it gives you a different heart. So obviously you guys hear from Ginny and I all the time. So once a month, we like to bring somebody else in just to kind of give you guys a different perspective. But I think, Tracy, the thing I love about you the most is you're so genuine. And I think that's really served you to be able to grow your business. You're authentic. And I love the tip on all three of your tips. And I think the thing that you and I share in common is being the top sponsors. And so that duplication is something we're all, that's the true wealth. That's why we're in network marketing, you guys. So whether you're new or you've been in this in a while, you can take all three of those tips and literally, like she said, by the end of this month, get to the next level. So thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions? I think we're good. That was amazing.
I can do questions if anyone has one.
Do you guys have any questions? Does anybody want to unmute themselves?
I'll ask a question really fast. Hi, Tracy. Thank you so much for taking your time to us. I'm so thankful. And a quick question is, if you're on Instagram or on Facebook and, you post and it could be about the flowers in your front yard and people like it, do you message people that, you haven't talked with about Arbonne who just liked your flower post and say, hey, you know what? Thanks so much for the love on my post. I have something amazing I'd love to talk to you about. Are you open? Do you say something like that? Or what would you do with someone that's sort of engaging with you on social media, but it's not pertaining to Arbonne? How would you approach them, or would you approach them to start conversations with new people that aren't necessarily someone you just said, hey, have you heard of Arbonne?
Okay. So if you've got a small amount of following so far, then I probably would go to the likes and, hey, how you doing? Start off with a little conversation. But when you get I'm going to grab my phone, Chris, which is on the charge. 2 seconds. I'll read you an example.
Okay, cool. Yeah, she's really good with social media, you guys. Yeah, you'll have to follow her, you guys. Yeah, one of the things I love about the Australians is they're really authentic. And I think that's why their businesses grew so quickly, was they didn't have to,
Okay, so say for instance, I have this post, and this was, I don't know, a couple of days ago. I can't see me on there. So can you see that, Chris?
Yeah, I can see it.
So I've just got my green drink bottle, right? And my statement is morning with my green brekkie, cheers Friday. And altogether there's 26 comments. And one guy particularly, where are you? Dan Green. He says, taste any good, ? And then so I say, Dan, yes, it's grassy, not dead fishy. Laugh out loud. I love it. So dead fishy, some greens that are high in spirulina that aren't Arbonne taste like dead fish, right? So if somebody's already tasted the greens and they resonate with that statement all the time. So I threw that in just as a bit of a laugh. And so he says, what's in it? And I say, proteins from veggie only, of course, fiber, berries, plus a scoop of greens every day. I've been on it over a year and no supplements now at all because I'm all alkaline. Do you take nutrition in a shake? I was until late last year looking for a dairy-free alternative now. So I said, Dan, I can send you a little link if it's a fit for you. It's vegan, so maybe your lucky day. Plus you get me as a coach for free if you need a subconscious voice. So then he says, sure. So on the inbox, I sent him the information. He lives in the UK and he's now waiting for his 30-day challenge to arrive in the mail. So you wait for them to open it and then you just tell a little bit of story first. So that doesn't usually start happening until you've got a good amount of followers. So Instagram, you start becoming influential about 4,000 or 5,000.
Okay.
The more, so at night to start to build my account, I've only got 5,000 yet. I was a little bit slower on Instagram. I'm 43, so I'm not like you young Gen Ys or millennials, but I'm learning. I've got traction now. I would stay in bed at night for an hour and a half sometimes. I would go to people's posts, like, comment, like, comment, like, comment. And I mean a comment like 4 or 5 words. And that actually builds your algorithm. You start getting more likes and you start getting more people add you, because Instagram will thank you for being, you know, active.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, engaging. So they see you as a really great person to have in their account. So they'll do you a favor and throw you around a little bit more. So you have to give everything in Arbonne. You'll see whether it's building social, building clients, building a network, being influential, it's give, 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 give. So it does take a little bit of groundwork, and you might be doing that for 2 months and think, oh God, this woman says I'm going to build an account. Hang in there, because all of a sudden you'll wake up and there's 50 more likes, 50 more followers.
Yeah. That's awesome, Tracy. Thank you so much. Yes, so helpful.
Okay.
So I'm going to tell my husband that you said I can be on my Instagram account for an hour and a half tonight.
You know what? People say to me, how do you do it? You're a single mum. And I say, you know what? I don't know. I think it's a benefit to be a single mum while I'm building my Arbonne business with urgency, because I don't get that. Are you still on that phone? And I'm really conscious of you know, the people that I'm coaching, that husbands love it when you're not on your device, and it's really great to have your segregated times, and that he understands as well. From 7 o'clock tonight, honey, I'm in the office. I know it looks like I'm just on my phone, but it can mean the difference of me spending an hour on my phone every night to being an okay income to be a national vice president. That's the difference.
It's essential, right? And just carving that out, setting your boundaries.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, I think that was perfect, Jenny, don't you? We will definitely share the recording. Make sure you guys, for those of your team that didn't check it out live, that they get on it. Tracy, I love you, and I am going to be planning my trip. Anybody that wants to come with me to go visit her in the Aussies, you guys, they are just beautiful. Maybe we should come to the convention in August. I'm just putting it out there.
Yes, please come.
So, I know you have a jam-packed day. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us. I love you. I love you. I love you. And sending so much love and light over and abundance over your business and your family from the U.S. We love you.
Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
I love you guys too.
Have an awesome night.
Bye.
Thanks, Mama. We'll talk to you soon. Bye, girl.
Okay. Bye.